Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Bible Bits episode. I know in the past we have usually talked about a certain passage or a certain, we've talked over a certain passage in the Bible. We've talked over a book like Job. I know in past videos we've talked about you know Jesus and his relationship to sin. Could he have? Anyway, but this episode is gonna be it's probably gonna be a lot shorter than I want it to be, but it's an important episode all the same. Um, Today I want to talk about a very interesting character in the events. Obviously, it's Good Friday, uh, and no matter well, actually, depending on how you translate the time, Jesus. People believe that, well, at the time of recording, it's about 3 o'clock. So, people believe that Jesus died around 3 o'clock in the afternoon of Good Friday. So that's where we are right now. It's we we're about the time people usually ascribe to Jesus' death or time of death. Yeah, but anyway, so we're about the time Jesus. It's people believe Jesus, died on the cross, gave up the Spirit, but several hours before this, Jesus goes through a number of trials, all tangled and knotted, and it's sketchy at best. It's illegal. It is straight up illegal. That's what it is. The the events of Jesus's trials are illegal. The Pharisees, the not just the Pharisees, the Sanhedrin didn't even give Jesus a proper trial, so they had to do a hurry up trial as soon as dawn broke. Then when they took him to Pilate, they didn't have a formal charge. So Pilate sent him to Herod. Herod sent him back to Pilate. Uh, and then they came up with a haphazard charge for Jesus. And finally, Pilate was like, "You know what? Okay, I will give you uh, his death. I will give you an opportunity. This is where we are." Pilate has just come out to the crowd and said, "There is no fault in this man. There is no fault in Jesus. He is innocent. However, I will honor one of your customs and give you the choice. Do you want Jesus, who I find innocent, or Barabbas, a convicted criminal?" And they picked Barabbas. Um, and the character of Barabbas is such an interesting character for only being mentioned once, and in a handful of verses scattered throughout the Gospels. Well, he's mentioned once, and it's in reference to Jesus coming, or to Jesus's this event in Jesus's mission, or this particular event in the course of events, however you want to say it. But Jesus, so we don't know much about Barabbas. We never have. The gospel writers didn't elaborate on what happened to him afterwards. As far as I know, no historian has really elaborated on him, what happened to him afterwards. So chances are, what happened to Barabbas is maybe at the very least a week or so later. And I want to say, the reason I say a week or so later is at least a week later is because they're still in the what has happened to Jesus kind of investigation at that point. But anyway, so probably what has happened to Barabbas certainly by the time John writes Revelation, but by the time maybe even Paul is converted and starting his ministry, is Barabbas had likely gone back to what he was doing before, and was again caught and convicted. And this time there was no um, Jesus there. There was no other person there to take his place. There was no other. There wasn't any pressure on Pilate for Pilate to say, "Hey, you released this Barabbas before. Do you want to release him again, or do you want to release this other criminal?" Um, there's a lot of stuff that we don't know what happened to Barabbas afterwards. But the reason I find Barabbas so interesting is that since there's so little on him in the scriptures, there's so little talk of him in the scriptures. I watched a video a number of years ago that says Barabbas is a picture of humanity, and I find that so true. Barabbas is standing in the place of humanity, the ones that should be judged, the ones that should receive the crucifixion, the one that should receive the eternal punishment of sin, the ones that should receive the wrath of God, but are in the end they are substituted in by Jesus, or Jesus is substituted in for us, for humanity, because it is God's in God's plan to save us. So I think that is true. I think Barabbas is the physical representation of the salvation work Jesus is about to do on the cross. Um, that's where I'm going to end it. If you agree with me or disagree with me, make sure to write a comment. Keep it respectful, y'all. But otherwise, happy Good Friday. Have a good Resurrection weekend, because it is Friday. Have a good Resurrection weekend. Enjoy celebrating. Uh, Enjoy hunting for eggs if that's something you do. And have a good day.